The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
Welcome to the last day of January and another K4Wins, K4Wins.com. The website, of course, you can find all four of our plays up there. It's a free website. Subscribe and check on K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. We're looking forward to being on a multitude of different platforms, including Coastal Network. It's a fantastic Coastal Network. They do all gambling radio. We'll be on that next Friday. And why not? Super Bowl 59 coming up a week from this Sunday. We've got Case Keeper, of course, the executive director right there, Las Vegas Sun, chief editor, does a fantastic job. His old man and a man in his own right mind. He's been doing handicapping forever. And, of course, executive director of the Birmingham Racecourse Casino. He knows how to pick a game. Kip Keefer down the right-hand score. And, of course, we got Kai Gregory, our good friend, who's been working both sides of the fence now for a long period of time, from handicapping to booking to everything else. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to plays as well. So, first of all, I know the show will be listened to a little after we do it live, but I understand we had a pretty good night last night, Kai. Is that correct?
Yeah, not bad. Thursday night, 8-0 with
Nice.
NBA and college basketball. Luckily, I changed my mind twice when posting and didn't post the hockey game that we had a little bit of disagreement on, and flipped to Case's prediction in the Ohio State game versus what I liked, and what I liked was horrendous when you look at it going there. So yeah, 8-0 night takes us to for the year 116, 49, and 3 overall.
Wow. Pretty good January.
We got to get on one of these Las Vegas gambler deals, man, because I see most of those guys hitting around 60, 62%, and I mean, they're winning these things. So we've been particularly hot, certainly this year, and 2024 was fantastic. If you follow us at K4Wins.com, you already know that you had some extra cash in your pocket for the holidays. Let's start with Super Bowl 59. Kip, I'm going to go with you because obviously this is the fifth time in the last 6 years the Kansas City Chiefs have been in the Super Bowl. Only the second time the Philadelphia Eagles will be trying to do that. Of course, they went with Nick Foles back in 2017. And this will be the second matchup between these two teams. The first time, 38-35. Fantastic Super Bowl just a couple of years ago was fantastic. But your initial thoughts, 1.5 and 49.5 is the initial lines on this particular game. We're in for a thriller, are we not?
You certainly would think so. The matchup seems to be outstanding. But the stat that keeps blowing me away, and I'm interested to hear what you guys think, but the stat that they threw out the other day, that 12 one-score games, 12-0 on the year for Kansas City. Mm-hmm. Just amazing. Certain teams, no matter what the circumstances are, they just find a way to win. This team, the Eagles look better on paper, but it's just hard for me to imagine because this team just has that kind of aura that anytime they're out there, they're not going to walk away with an L. Josh Allen played unbelievable game. I mean, some of the throws he made in clutch situations, for them to walk away a loser again, they've just got to be looking in the mirror going, what in the hell do we have to do? The Chiefs just seem like they're living the charmed life. And I know the Eagles on paper are formidable, but right now, a week out, it's hard for me to imagine going against the Chiefs.
Yeah, and I mean, what was that case the beginning of the season? I know that we never had a three-peat in the National Football League. This would be a first. Of course, you think about some of the great teams, including the Chicago Bulls, who did it twice with Michael Jordan.
Oh, the Chicago Bulls, yeah.
Yeah, not that Chicago.
I thought you were going back to the 1930s.
Yeah, I would have to. But what was the line on Kansas City appearing in the Super Bowl 59 and winning Super Bowl 59? Do you remember what it was at the beginning of the season?
Well, I remember one very specifically. So sorry, this is the second straight week. I feel like something you asked me. If you watch all the Alabama shows we're on, I say the exact same thing on the starting lineup this week. But on the starting lineup, the week after the Super Bowl last year, I gave out a play on the Super Bowl. That was the Kansas City Chiefs to win it at 9-1. So I think I might have mentioned on this show, the one thing I never did, unfortunately, I never got the Chiefs to win the AFC. So that was a futures loser for me. But that's because that number, I mean, sometimes I talk about numbers and I know people's eyes, and they say, what is it? Sometimes this isn't rocket science. If you followed the NFL at all, or just how people talk about it, you knew that last year when after the Super Bowl, the Chiefs opened 9-1 was the best price, most like plus 750. Like that did not take any PhD in math to understand the way people perceive just the Chiefs, that number was going to go way down. They'd won 2 in a row. You knew they were going to be the talk. So I think by the time the season got going, they were more in like the plus 450, 5-1 range. So again, I didn't really think it was value there. So I was hoping maybe they slumped sometime in the middle of the season so I could add them to AFC. It didn't happen, but yeah. So I'm pretty sure I got the best number that was available anywhere. Maybe there was like a 10-1 right after the Super Bowl last year, but I think 9-1 was the highest. And then going into the season, I don't think there was any higher than 5-1. So once again, in an NFL season full of chalkiness, we have another chalky outcome with the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I don't know if you guys saw, but I believe Nevada just put out its gaming figures. It was the first time in maybe 12 or 13 years, December, they had like a multi-million-dollar loss on the NFL because just every favorite is covering. Most games are going over. Which has been terrible for me. I've had a really bad NFL year, but most people are cleaning up, and I think it's going to make for a highly bet a Super Bowl as well, because it's just been favorite after favorite, and the Chiefs being back for a third straight year, to me, kind of illustrates that better than anything.
Kip, you
Hey,
talk about
Tony, real quick.
Yeah.
This is a team, if you guys remember, they were still on the field 10 minutes after winning last year, celebrating that win. They were already in every interview talking about three-peating. I mean, this is a team that set their focus on. You never see that. I mean, I that sticks in my memory like crazy. That they're going, okay, now we're poised to make history. That was like a stepping stone last year. This was like the target all along for this team.
And maybe it's because they've been there 5 times in the last 6 years.
Well, yeah.
For some reason, this feels like the window is starting to close a little bit on this team. It seems like Mahomes and Kelsey have been together forever because they have. And I know that, 29, 28, 20, 32, whatever in the NFL is considered old. It does feel like every time they get there, though, this may be their last shot to ever go three-peat together. This is not the NBA because you get banged up pretty good. You were talking about this one-score games, and one thing that I'm hearing a lot about, Case and Kai, is that a lot of people are loving Kansas City in some type of teaser, because if Kansas City was catching 7.5 this year, they'd be 19-1 against the spread. 19-1 against the spread in games this year. So, I mean, yeah, they've been winning some close games, but that's what great teams do, Kai. They figure out ways to win, and you cannot give them any extra yardage. You can't give them any extra plays, and you sure as hell can't give them any extra penalties with Patrick Mahomes the way he gets them called on.
Or great spots.
That's true, but you know they're going to get a couple of calls in this, no matter what. At least a couple of calls that half of the people watching the Super Bowl are going to question. Now, whether or not I don't think Kansas City fans, for sure, anybody that bet on Kansas City against Buffalo thought Josh Allen had that first down. None of them did. Now, everybody else in the world that was watching the game and saw the line and saw his body go, well past the line, thought he did have a first down. But anyway, we'll go back. For me, I've spent a lot of time in the props and looking at some of these things, and I think there's a lot of value in some of the props, and there'll be more and more as we get closer. But I can't go, just like I said last week, I can't go against Kansas City. I know they're not at home, but just like when they talked about the last year's Super Bowl with the overtime, and how prepared Kansas City was, and they had worked on overtime situations, and their opponent had not, and that came into play. And I think that Andy Reid is just going to be better prepared. I wonder how much the whole Kellen Moore offensive coordinator becoming a head coach allegedly, what kind of effect that's going to have. I don't think it has anywhere near as much effect as it would, a college kid, something like that. By the way, I also think Kellen Moore is way underqualified to be a head coach in the NFL. That's just my opinion right now. I would actually get less excited about that than I did Ben Johnson, and I don't think that's possible.
He is striking while the iron's hot, for sure.
Yeah, so but I do think if I have to play, I'd probably play Kansas City. I would right now. That over-under, depending on where you get it, I think it started at, it got as high as 50.5. I think it's back down 49.5 in a lot of places now. Really interesting with what everyone says should be a limited possessions game. I don't know if I agree with that. I still have a hard time betting anything under, but at the same time, I can see myself betting under in this game, which I know doesn't really help, but I've got another week to look at it.
Yeah, Case, let's look at some prop bets too, and we're certainly going to give our plays up because we get on the show before Super Bowl 59 kicks off coming up here on February 9th. I got bitten in the ass last week. I had Saquon Barkley over the $125 on the ground, and of course he goes for 60 yards in that first play, and I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be the easiest one of my life, and he hits a $118. You said it, Case. You said it on this show last week. Go big stars, Josh Allen, go Lamar Jackson, and just go under on all their plays because everyone thinks they're just going to go running crazy. And of course, most of those came, including Josh Allen, rushing yards. One play that I think is really interesting, though, is on Jalen Hurts passing yards for Super Bowl 59 and 212.5. Now that Saquon Barkley is coming out of the woods, and of course, he's been out of the woods all season long. Wake up. A lot of people believe that he's not going to have to put the ball up in the air. Of course, they put a 55 spot up there and it went under. So what's your thoughts on under 212? It sounds small because we're used to seeing these 400 and 500-yard games by quarterbacks in the National Football League, but that seems like a small number.
Yeah, I haven't bet any traditional props yet, but I'll give all my off the cuff opinions, but I'll be diving way more into it. There'll be a lot on Las Vegas. So I'm still kind of old school when it comes to this. I know now in this day of legalized sports betting in America, like there's some props that come up even before the championship game, the books, it's like an arms race, but here in Las Vegas, always kind of the big moment. It's not as big now because of these national books, but we're recording Friday morning. It's Thursday night. The Westgate Las Vegas Superbook posts. They're kind of the gold standard of props, and they light up their board on Thursday nights. They put all the props. I still think they have the biggest opening limits. You can go down there and get $2,000 a pop on 900 different bets. So to me, the prop season doesn't really start till they post it. They did last night. I have them in front of me. So I bet some index stuff already, which is kind of my specialty. I like those bigger payouts. I've had some success with those. Those are the only things I've actually bet so far. But as far as these yes, no, over unders, the one you asked about, Jalen Hurts, to me, and you're right, I'm typically looking to go under. I'm probably going to wait to bet a lot of these and bet under. One that didn't go well last week, Patrick Mahomes did have his best rushing game in like a year and a half. So he got way over in that, which is always popular. But yeah, I'm going to be looking for a lot of unders. But Hurts is one guy that I actually think I'm a little bullish on in this game. My first reaction would be that I would want an over. And another word of advice, if you want to bet overs on these big name guys, I would say including Hurts, bet earlier because all the action's going to come in on over. These numbers are going to go up. So if you're looking unders, try to wait, which is not my best thing. I like getting in right away. If you like overs, generally bet now. To me, the script's kind of flipped with the Chiefs defense. And I've heard a lot of people talk about how bad they are against the run and how they're more formidable in the secondary. That's just not true this year. That was true at the beginning of their run where they would just get gashed on the run. And I think it was fine for them. They just didn't give up big plays. But this year, you look at all their rushing metrics, they're way above average against the run and kind of middling against the pass. Let's go back to the last Super Bowl. They played the Eagles. Jalen Hurts had probably the best performance for a losing quarterback in Super Bowl history. I think he tied the scoring record of 20 points. He had 375 all-purpose yards. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith had 200 yards combined. I think the Chiefs secondary has probably gotten a little better since then. A lot of those guys were rookies back then, but they still don't really have that physical guy to match up with A.J. Brown. They struggle against receivers that line up on the right that are number one. So I look at A.J. Brown to have a big game, and I just really think they'll sell out to stop Saquon Barkley. And I think their linebackers, their defensive line, I think they have the guys to at least slow him. So to me, I'm a little more bullish on Jalen Hurts than most people. I was really impressed by him last week, even though I know Washington's defense isn't great, just with the speculation of how's he going to be with his knee and stuff. I mean, he went out there and really balled out. In the two games he's played against the Chiefs, he's been fantastic. He brought him back in the regular season game after they lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, where I thought he was probably the Super Bowl MVP if we were allowed to vote for losing teams the first time. So I'm actually pretty bullish on Jalen Hurts. I think I'll be looking for ways to back him, actually.
Kip, another interesting quarterback prop is Patrick Mahomes over 5.5 attempts rushing yards, not rushing yards 5.5 yards, but 5.5 attempts. And we go back and look at all of his playoff games. 62% of the time in those playoff games, he has rushed 6 or more times. Do you think he's going to have some design run plays?
I don't know how much design. I would be inclined to think that that's a pretty good number to chase, just based on the fact that Mahomes has shown in the past that the bigger the game, the more he's willing to do whatever task is necessary. I can see him several times escaping pressure, and if he gets around the edge, like all quarterbacks, he can rumble for a pretty good significant gain. So I would kind of like that number. I don't think they're going to do a lot of design stuff, although. I was glad because one of my biggest pet peeves in college and pro football is in the red zone or down around the goal line. People don't run the quarterback very often. When all the defenses sell out for the straight plow ahead play that's probably 50-50 effective, I think a lot of quarterbacks, and that'd be another attempt down inside the 5-yard line. I can see Mahomes, play action and just kind of skirting around the end. So 5.5 is probably a pretty good number, but I'd be inclined right now to think that, yeah, he'll have that many attempts.
I know one of those Westgate, or actually two of those prop bets. One is what we see in Andy Reid trick play, which I don't know what dictates a trick play, but Andy Reid's going to throw something, whether it's going to be a shovel pass, whether it's going to be a Philadelphia special, whether it's going to be something which would be really funny against Philadelphia. And of course, the other one is, will we see a tush push for a touchdown? And of course, we saw this past week where they just kept getting penalty after penalty after penalty. You couldn't get the ball any closer to the goal line for a tush push, but two different interesting things. Kip, before I move on, what are some prop bets? What are some things you're looking at? I know you like prop bets. I know that by having multiple bets on a game, your head will explode because you just like to enjoy a game. I know you're a side and total guy, but is there anything in particular that's kind of reaching out to you that you're interested in? Are you looking at Saquon Barkley over under yards, and how inflated are these numbers?
Here's what I'm looking at. About the last 4 or 5 years, I've just sent Case a check and said, I'm in for your prop bet portfolio. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I've already got the professor at the chalkboard, so that's probably going to be my major strategy. I think I could drive myself crazy poring over those and trying to speculate. So I've got a cheat sheet, and his name is Case Kiefer.
All right, before we get into some college hoops, and man, it's just been unbelievable. If you're in SEC land, no matter where you're listening to the show, of course, you can hear it on TKR at least 5 times a week. Thanks to thousands of folks who have downloaded the TKR app. And of course, wherever you get your favorite podcast, we're going to be live next Friday. It's been amazing to me just how great college hoops are in SEC world, man. Every single night you turn on a game, it was like a 3 versus a 2 and a 7 versus a 16. It's just unbelievable. It's going to be a great year in college hoops. And of course, we'll continue to do this show all the way through March Madness. We'll look forward to that. Not adding 8 to 10 teams this year. It'll be happening next season, and perhaps we'll double it by next season as well, which is going to be great for everybody. Let's go around the horn real quick and just give me your side and total right now and how you feel about that side and total for Super Bowl. Of course, we reserve the right to change our minds before the game coming up on February 9th. We'll start with Kai because most people just looking for a side and total. Where are you going with Super Bowl 59, Kai?
Well, I'm going to just not be upset that you didn't ask me about all these papers and all these props I have here.
Oh, I'm going. Yeah.
I'll just get it next time. But I've got to go Kansas City. I mean, I don't know on the total yet. If I have to play it right now, I'm playing Kansas City. And if you put a gun to my head, I'm probably going to go under if it's 49.5 and go over if it's 48.5. But
okay.
That's just me right now. I know the over under is 5.5 touchdowns for the Super Bowl total right now that I saw minus 20 at over 5.5, which makes no sense for the total of 49.5. But I mean, because I don't think they're going to kick 5 or 6 field goals.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we move on, then I want to hear some of these prop bets. You got all this paperwork, brother. I want to hear about it, man. You put the work in. I want to hear about it.
Well, one of the most interesting things to me is going to be the shortest touchdown. The over/under is 1.5 yards. And if you go over 1.5, it's plus 145. Really interesting. You think about pass interferences in the end zone, how many times Philly's going to run the tush push, all those different things. So I like that one in there. If I play that one, I'm going to play over. I think it's probably going to end up going under, but I'm going to go plus. I love some of the first touchdowns, anytime touchdown scores. Patrick Mahomes is plus 300 on an anytime touchdown. He's plus 1,800 on first touchdown. I like that. I like Xavier Worthy anytime touchdown. He's got high numbers. When I'm doing that, I mean, anytime touchdown, it's real easy to say, okay, I'm going to take Jalen Hurts minus 125. Is he going to score a touchdown? Probably, but you're laying juice first getting back on top on some of those. I really like something that I've seen a lot of people go against that I think these numbers are actually going to drop a little bit. A.J. Brown, longest reception, over 25.5 yards. I like his ability to run after the catch. And Travis Kelce is 20.5 on longest reception. And I kind of like that, the way I think he is going to play in this game, so that we get to see Taylor Swift 800 times. And Saquon Barkley over 8.5 yards on his longest reception, or something I'm really looking at early. I've got a ton for anytime touchdown and first touchdown, because I like to take the something where you can place 5 bets, whatever your regular units are, where you can place 5 bets, but 4 of those are going to get you major money, so that if they hit, you get all your money back for that one bet. I'm somebody that likes to play it like that.
There you go. Kip, side and total for Super Bowl 59. What you like?
As of today, I have to go Kansas City. My inclination is that Philadelphia might have top to bottom a better roster, but I'll believe it when I see it. And I'm going to be a contrarian here. I think there'll be points scored. I would take, if it was today and I had my deadline, Kansas City over.
Case, side and total Super Bowl 59.
Yeah, I was part of the resistance. I did bet under 50.5 on Sunday night, so I'm definitely on the under. I think both these teams, Vic Fangio is the progenitor of what every NFL team's trying to do now, of keeping everyone in front of them, not giving up big plays, and he's never had a defense this talented. They're so athletic. They have great guys to pull this off, and I'm actually probably going to be betting some Mahomes under rush stuff, because I think they have great spies for him. I don't see him getting loose like he has against other Eagles teams. So I don't know. I think I've been getting killed on over-unders because every game goes over, but I think 50.5 was way too much. So I'd still lean under right now at 49.5, but under 50.5 for sure. And I really hope you guys are right. I'm looking for a Chiefs 1, 2, or 3 point win. But the close game stuff has been amazing, but I'm the guy, I don't care how good you are, and they are amazing, and they're better be at it because of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, but that is going to regress at some point. You don't win 17 straight one-score games because you're better than everyone else. The last one they lost to was that Raiders Christmas game. You go back that season, they lost a lot of one-score games before this run. They lost to the Eagles in a one-score game. Because of that, my gut says I don't think there's any question the Eagles have the better roster. I'm not giving you guys bad vibes or anything for picking the Chiefs. I think anyone in the NFL would tell you the Eagles' talent just overwhelms the Chiefs. Doesn't mean they're going to win, but because of the numbers, I actually made the Eagles a 1.5 point favorite here. Like I said, I have that Chiefs future. I have no Eagles future exposure. I've just whiffed on this Philadelphia team all year, so I'm really hoping the Chiefs come through. But I think betting wise, you'd have to be on the Eagles right now. If you're going to bet the Chiefs, I would also tell you to wait, because I find it hard to believe that the guys that are, running models and looking at the same way are going to be on the Chiefs here. I think if anyone, Philadelphia is going to take money here. I would not be surprised if this somehow got to a pick or so. So if you like the Chiefs, just sit and wait right now. But for right now, for me, I'm hoping the Chiefs pull it out, but I would be on Eagles and under.
And I like the Eagles, and I like the over in the game as of right now. And I think a lot of people, we know this, and we've talked about this. People bet with their heart, not their head. We know that. And I think a lot of people are going into this game. First of all, we're going to see history. Do we want to see history? For most part, I think we're just tired as hell. It's like the New England Patriots all over again. We're tired of seeing Kansas City give the Super Bowl every single year, give someone else a shot. And I think a lot of people believe, and certainly in this neck of the woods down here, because he played Alabama, with Alabama, of course, then went to Oklahoma. But Jalen Hurts, I think a lot of people, he's one of those guys that's doing things right, and he's had concussions, but they want to see him win a Super Bowl. It's like, I want to see Josh Allen win a Super Bowl. It'd be a shame for Josh Allen not to win a Super Bowl in his life, almost to a Dan Marino effect for me, because, he just busts his ass and he puts everything out in line. And I think Jalen Hurts does that as well. And so it's like, Patrick, you've gotten yours. But something tells me, it's just really hard to go against Kansas City anytime. It just is. They just figure it out. And I think a lot of it has to do with Andy Reid. I think he lets his guys play, but the discipline is so good. It's like when they have penalties, they don't mean anything. They don't have those 15-yard penalties when they really mean a lot. They have the 5-yard penalties early in the ball game, and those are a wash. And it seems like the other side always has that one penalty where they had them stopped on 3rd down, and then it continues a drive, and they end up scoring a touchdown. It just happens over and over and over again. All right, let's talk about some college hoops. Let's go to Vegas. In case, what's it been like this season? Any interesting trends going on with college hoops? Of course, it seems like a lot of coaches have changed. Kentucky's playing extremely well. The SEC looks like almost every single team in the SEC is in the top 25. But any interesting trends or any interesting pushes going on when it comes to March Madness so far?
Trends, not really that I've noticed. I mean, I feel like it's been a great college basketball season. You've got, a group of just really outstanding teams. It's been fun, and the SEC's been quite exciting to follow on a night-to-night basis. I'm sure it's crazy down there right now with Auburn and Alabama at the top of the standings. I do think, probably non-conference, like going into conference play, Auburn looked like a step above everyone, but I don't know. I mean, Duke, I think we talked about this last week. Kai might have mentioned it, just the way they're stomping everyone. They're not, the ACC is obviously down. I know people are sick of this team, but every year I think some of the tournament failings are, injuries. They've had the opposite of the Chiefs, some bad luck go against them. I think Houston is not a team you're going to want to fade at all. I think they're going to be a team to watch that I've been betting on basically every game, and they've been coming through. I think Iowa State's awfully tough. So even though, top to bottom, the SEC, just no question, is kind of dominating the sport right now. There's about 3 or 4 other teams that I think when we get into the tournament, it's going to be an awfully strong wrestle to the end. We could have a really outstanding Final Four if we get these favorites to come through.
Kip, what really sticks out to you about a third into the season so far?
Well, the depth of the SEC is amazing. I knew it was going to be really good at the top, but a lot of teams that I just kind of shrugged off have performed very well game to game, and so the depth of that. I did. Case mentioned a couple of teams in the Big 12. I think any other year the Big 12 would be getting a lot more adoration, but because the SEC is on such a roll and is so deep, people don't need to sell them short. The Kansas game, Case, of course, is a Kansas graduate, so I've followed the Jayhawks for at least a decade now or more, probably 15 years. And a game like last Saturday night at Allen Fieldhouse, Kansas wins that game every time. They have a 6-point lead with 20 seconds left in overtime and let it get away. So that tells you Houston, and that's the first time I've really watched Houston start to finish, and they are scary. They had a couple of guys step up and make some threes that's not really their MO, but their inside guys are scary. Now Kansas has to go to Baylor. Oh, no big deal. Let's go play Baylor. The league is both those leagues are brutal. I think they're both head and shoulders a lot better than the Big Ten and the ACC. So it's fun now to watch the way that the season's shaping up and see what ends up happening. But in terms of the SEC, gotta love it. My best bet this week lost by 30 points to the same team 3 weeks ago. So we'll see if that comes to pass.
Yeah, if you watch the starting lineup on Saturday mornings, 10:30, 11 o'clock here locally on ABC 3340. Of course, you can watch this on our YouTube channel. You came with the best bet. You like them to bounce back after getting beat by 30. And, of course, all of our marquee matchups are basketball games, including Duke and North Carolina. Duke and Carolina. I don't care. I know North Carolina. I bet against them 3 times this year. I'm 3-0 against the spread against them. But it's still Duke and North Carolina. And I know you've got a lot to say about that, Kai Gregory, because that's just good basketball any day.
Duke, huge. So anyway, that's a lot. So last weekend, 11 ranked teams on the road. This weekend, 11 ranked teams on the road. Last week, ranked teams 2-9 versus the spread on the road. 6 straight up losses on the road. So, I mean, and this week you've got, Florida at Tennessee, Providence at St. John's, Missouri at Mississippi State, Auburn at Ole Miss, K-State at Iowa State. Let's just go through the SEC ones. Vandy at Oklahoma, Georgia at Alabama. A big one, I think, that's going to be a bounce back, but I'm not going to say for which team. Kansas at Baylor. You got Texas Tech going to Houston. Also, UConn, with the best coach in the business, is going to be at Marquette. And then, I mean, it's just a huge weekend. Georgia is going to Alabama, and I have not seen the early lines I usually, with everything I get, I don't usually get till about 3 o'clock today. So, I mean, this will be up by then. But I'm really interested to see some of these early lines that I really like on these games, because I think you're going to have quite a few road favorites lose straight up again.
For all of our plays, K4Wins, the number 4wins.com, K4Wins.com. Get all of our plays. It's a free site. Go check us out, subscribe, get your K4Wins. Of course, we have everything from soccer, women's basketball, men's basketball, certainly Super Bowl stuff, NFL, you name it. We are available at K4Wins.com. Make sure you watch the starting lineup, along with Case Kiefer, of course, Kip Kiefer and myself, and occasionally Kai Gregory joins us, is on that show as well. He knows what he's doing, so check it out, K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. Guys, we'll be live next week, and then we'll get ready for Super Bowl 59. It's going to be a hell of a week. We have the right to reserve that right to change our minds based on what's happening, and I'm sure there's going to be some tweaking going on in our gamblings going on later on this week. But thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.